Hello everyone and welcome back to Destiny. There is no sugarcoating it, Guardians. Destiny 2 is a frustrating game to play.
It is an up at dawn, pride-swallowing siege!
It's hard to pin down exactly what is most frustrating about the game right now. Perhaps it's playing a repetitive dungeon for 11 hours and still not getting that darn exotic. Perhaps it's finally getting a break from your day only to be met with ongoing server downtime. Perhaps it's the lackluster events, uninspired activities, confused story delivery, and totally unbalanced rewards. Perhaps it's the over-monetization of the game and its components. As excited as I am for the final shape, I have never felt this disconnected from the game and its developers. I want to put all my trust in the company that has delivered some of my favorite gaming experiences of all time, but the proof is always in the pudding. In this video, we're going to take a look at 5 major issues that are currently going on in the game that has contributed to the most frustrated the player base has ever been in years and an incredibly low player count. We're going to dive deep into each of these topics and see what can possibly be done to address the root problems. We all want this game to shine, so let's jump in and break it all down. Alright, let's jump right into it with number 1, and that is lackluster seasonal content. If you look back to 2018, we had 3 amazing new activities added to the game. The truth of the matter is that under the original Activision partnership, Bungie did have multiple studios, including Vicarious Visions and High Moon Studios, to bolster and help develop the new content for that year. Think back to what you remember as your favorite time in Destiny 2. It was probably during Escalation Protocol during the Warmind expansion, Destiny 2 Forsaken's campaign, and the post-campaign with the whole Dreaming City curse and the dungeon. Maybe it was the Forge activity in Season of the Forge. What about Reckoning in Season of the Drifter? And then there's of course the beloved Menagerie in Season of Opulence. These set a pretty high standard to those seasonal activities that has yet to be reached again. They were all insanely unique experiences. The gun drops for completing Wave 7 of Escalation Protocol kept you hooked with how good those weapons were. The Season of the Forge was unique in the way you acquired the weapons with the various blueprints, earning different tiers of armor in the Reckoning, and the gemstones in Season of Opulence. They were all different cool ways to interface with those activities and with the rewards of that season. It kept things fresh, and more importantly, it kept you interested in playing that activity because the chase rewarded your effort. Those were some of the best seasons in Destiny 2, all assisted by other studios. Bungie was a small company, so when they split with Activision, it's totally understandable that they would need some time to get back at parity with those previous resource pools. But fast forward to now, 4 expansions later, the studio is much larger, and all of the content is not only gone, but we're given activities that lack any kind of real depth or inspiration. Activities that are designed to leave the game at the end of the year. It makes perfect sense not to invest as much creative energy into systems and developing them if they're just going to be gone in a matter of months. What's the fix? We need fresh new ideas that have lasting power and keep them in the game. Hell, bring back the Forge, bring back Reckoning and Menagerie. Build upon those systems and update them annually in interesting ways. Add new locations for the Forges in addition to deepening the crafting system. They could add Reckoning maps, Reckoning objectives and bosses, and really lean into the risk reward of activating the higher tiers for those better rewards. Make that really hardcore. For Menagerie, just add more segments and evolve the gem reward system. Also give us back the tribute hall while you're at it, why not? And since we're in the Leviathan, well, you know, just make it happen. I paid for all of this content and I really miss playing it. Alright, moving on to number 2, we have Unbalanced Rewards. Let's talk about this. Things are kind of a mess, starting with legendaries. Look at this. I mean, why am I doing this? I have so many shards. This is literally worse than blues because I have to do so much more work to get them. And I don't need legendary shards, which is what these end up being anyways, so why am I doing higher tiers of deep dive? I don't care about half of the weapons because legendary primaries are so abysmally bad right now in the game anyways. And the weapons that are broken enough to be decent are kept behind weird walls like Trials of Osiris, which is not an experience I would wish upon my worst enemy.
Drop your sword.
For exotics, farming for rolls is basically a joke. There are some of the worst roll armor in the game. For how difficult they are to acquire, they should not be bad rolls for exotics. The whole point of the endgame is to work on builds. My different Starfire protocols should all have incredible stats, but distributed differently for the different builds that I have. Nice high stat distribution should be an intrinsic part of exotic armor. And unfortunately, exotic weapons aren't faring too much better. Half of them are just handed to you at the beginning of a season, and then the rest are on the opposite extreme, locked behind horrendous RNG. The whole complete triumphs to improve your drop rates during the dungeon is great in concept, but it's essentially making my random chance slightly less random, which kills really any motivation I have to achieve them. And that's really sad because I'm personally missing all of the last few dungeons exotics. Even after doing an 11-hour solo run of the Watcher, I couldn't get that darn bow. And of course, after that experience, I never want to play this dungeon again, so I guess I'm never getting that bow. Maybe they'll vault it soon and I can just buy it from a kiosk. Rewards need to become more meaningful and more respectful of players' time. In addition, we need more targeted pursuits, ways to chase specific blueprints or patterns, and make armor drops more interesting. And speaking of interesting armor, let's talk about number 3, which is Buildcrafting Undone. If there is one thing that I'm realizing with my playthrough of Diablo 4, it is that Destiny 2 does min-maxing way wrong. In Diablo, the endgame is all about increasing your stats in small, incremental, yet meaningful ways. Every single armor drop has some kind of potential because it's more than just stats, and we don't have to achieve some weird tier system to appreciate a small incremental increase. So much so that you need Artifice armor just to level things out, which makes literally every other set of armor in the game completely worthless. Also, stats are kinda meaningless. What is the point of going from tier 9 resilience to tier 10 if I'm still gonna get 1 or 2 shot in grandmasters? And if more than one enemy is firing at you, forget about it. Destiny, at least for PvE, is and always will be about not getting hit at all. No matter how much you spec into recovery or resilience, playing it from a safe distance will always be the better play. Resilience should be about more than just surviving a one-shot. I should be able to spec up to resist those things in grandmasters. Instead, you have to constantly be in cover, which destroys DPS as a stat and also destroys any gameplay loops you might be enjoying at the time. The issue is especially egregious this season since they didn't raise the pinnacle cap. It's still at 1810, with the max effective power being plus 10 on the artifact for master content. Why am I ranking up past plus 10 in the first place? Oh, that's right, Guardian ranks. Yeah, let me get right on that soloing Ghosts of the Deep. Also, with this system, it means you will always have some kind of wasted stats. Especially with normalization of the cooldown reduction, they should let single points of stats count instead of punishing the player. Another big issue with build crafting is the new mod system. The streamlining was nice, but they have yet to build upon that system in any meaningful way. Warmind cells charged with light, wells, they all had way more interesting systems and effects, and I bet most players would vote to revert things back in a heartbeat. Bungie needs to do something way more exciting with armor and mods, and it can't happen soon enough. I understand that they are experimenting this year, but they might be messing with too many systems too quickly. Let's just hope the dust settles before the final shape. And that kind of leads to number 4, which is server and game stability. Ever since the release of Nightfall, players have been experiencing increased instances of game crashes, asset loading issues, being returned to orbit from activities, and long stretches of downtime surrounding the new patches and weekly maintenance. These issues, especially this season's, have on more than one occasion made me switch off the game entirely. It's difficult to pinpoint why we're having so many game and server stability issues since the release of Nightfall. We know they are constantly working to improve the game's engine and stability on the background. It seems like they are trying to achieve some kind of major milestone that might be around the launch of the final shape. It might be something along the lines of bringing back unvaulted content. That milestone might also include reworks to power leveling and the addition of the in-game LFG. It seems like perhaps more systematic changes are being done under the hood than ever before, and I think this is what's leading to a few things breaking here and there. Now, things have been getting a little bit better, but players are still very frustrated on a daily basis. I'm personally hoping that everything gets cleared up before the final shape. I have a lot of faith in their ability to clean things up before their sort of grand finale release. Moving on to number 5, it is general disconnect from the community. Now this topic deserves its own video, but I wanted to touch on some of the high-level issues here. There seems to be a large disconnect between what the community is asking for in the game and what Bungie is delivering to us season over season. Strange monetization decisions, and they have all but ignored the complaints of the community in several key areas, whether it's the state of PvP, exotic rewards, pay-to-win issues, Eververse controversies. Bungie has been disappointingly quiet about all of it.
Me help you.
There was a time after the failure of Curse of Osiris where Destiny's developers decided to open up, become transparent, take accountability, and provide their path to righting the ship, making the community excited for Destiny again, and even earning back the community's trust, which is not an easy thing to do. All of the points I mentioned above have been issues in the game for a long time, and Bungie has not addressed these in any meaningful ways. The lack of information is leading the community to try to piece together clues and develop their own narrative, and you can't really blame them. And unfortunately, it's a really bad narrative, which is that Bungie doesn't care about Destiny. Their business strategy of not focusing on quality has led players to have a toxic and abusive relationship with the game. We want to believe it will be good, only to be constantly disappointed. They do one nice thing to win you over, and then use that nice thing as an excuse to get away with doing 10 bad things. We're left constantly defending Destiny's honor, only to get the short end of the stick when it really matters. But anyways, that's all I have for you today. Bungie has a lot to answer for on August 8th during the Final Shape reveal. During that event, you can expect the Final Shape trailer and Vidoc, but we also will most likely get a huge glimpse into the future of Destiny after this following expansion. Until then, let's hope that things just improve a bit in the live game over the next couple seasons. What do you think is the #1 thing that's causing this low player count? Leave a comment below, let's discuss. Be sure to like, subscribe, and click the bell so you don't miss future Destiny and Bungie videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.